Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Don't Make Me Famous, where we talk about the road to Hollywood for Latinos as I tried to navigate it myself. So today is a special one. Today we're going to go back in time a little bit. The year is 1985, and we're going to talk about Blockbuster. Talking about my time at Blockbuster as well. I used to work there back in the early 2000s. I know I just dated myself, but Blockbuster Video was it was the like basically the ultimate destination for like movie lovers and video game lovers, by the way. Like I said, it was known for renting something called a VHS tape. For those who don't know what a VHS tape is, it's not just a movie a horror movie that has like weird technology or old technology. VHS is This is basically a VHS. It was a big hunk of plastic with uh, a reel basically inside and or tape inside, and you had to watch it on a VCR, which was even bigger piece of equipment that used to play these big, huge things. Um, and once you were done watching the movie, you had to rewind this thing. Um, and there was a whole thing that I'll talk about that's called Be Kind, Please Rewind. We'll get into that. Uh, they basically rented and sold VHS tapes. Eventually, this turned into DVDs. So basically, a CD with a lot of information on it that you could like watch movies. I'm sure you've seen them. It's not that old. And also video games. It became more than a store. It was like a cultural experience. There was people who went out not just to rent a movie, but to browse aisles and discover like hidden gems. That was you basically would plan your movie nights. Back in the day, you would just go on a Friday night and just go with your family and see what's out there, new releases, things like that. The only thing is that you weren't guaranteed to see a movie. There was a factor in it that they only had a certain amount of copies of these movies. So if you didn't get there in time, you could be left with basically the snickle fritz or nothing. All the new movies when they came out on VHS or DVD or just I'm just going to use a normal term when they were new releases and they would release on video, you could chance not being able to see it because it's been rented out and people would have them for like 2 or 3 days, which was wild, right? Because it's like now you get instant gratification. This is before Netflix. This is before all the streaming services, HBO, Prime, Hulu, Disney, the whole shebang. So yeah, this place started in the 80s in Dallas, and they basically blew up to about 9,000 plus stores, making like $5 billion in revenue a year. It was insane. They were franchised, so they were like all over the place. I'm sure that some 7-Elevens now used to be Blockbusters and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, there's only one left in the entire world right now. It's in Bend, Oregon. Shout out to Bend, Oregon Blockbuster. They're the last Blockbuster. Uh, so what made it cool was that it wasn't just a place to rent movies. It was like a cultural hotspot for a lot of reasons. The browsing experience. People loved wandering the aisles, discovering like titles, seeing what new releases came out right after they had their run in the movie theater. So the theater would have it for like 3 to 6 months, and then depending on how good or bad it did, there would be a release on video, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months. But it would be like a big thing. It'd be like the movie was re-releasing, and so it would get like a bunch of like traction, and like it would be like it was almost like it was coming out again. So there'd be a big push, and like, oh man, that was in the theaters, and now I'm gonna go rent it or buy it at Blockbuster. It was a whole thing. They had like special sections for again, new releases. They had family, kids movies, action, horror, comedy. It was like a treasure hunt basically for movies and shows and video games. Uh, it had definitely a community feel to it. Families, friends would often like plan their Friday or Saturday nights around visiting that Blockbuster, and uh, again, they eventually got around to like video game rentals that bought teenagers and gamers, and it made it just feel like a special thing, like it was like a hub. They would have exclusive releases and hits. Blockbuster was one of the first to offer uh, many titles that were just like that had like early access. Like so if a movie was set to go on video at a certain date, Blockbuster, I guess they had a thing where sometimes they would get it maybe a month early. So it would be like an exclusive thing. So you definitely wanted to be a Blockbuster member. Um, and again, like they had like iconic movies uh, that were rented over the years. Like in the 80s, it was like Back to the Future, E.T., Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones. In the 90s, it was Jurassic Park, Titanic, The Matrix, Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction. And which is hilarious because Quentin Tarantino worked for a video store, not Blockbuster, but he was his own. He had his own store that he worked for in California, and so yeah, so we both worked at video stores before getting into the entertainment industry. In the 2000s, it was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Harry Potter, Spider-Man, Pirates of the Caribbean, things like that. Renting a movie became like I said, like a ritual. Browsing, you would go and end caps would have like popcorn. It would be like going to the movie theater, but instead of like going to your seat, you would just go get your candy, your popcorn, sodas, things like that, and then you would go home and you would watch your movie show at home. So not instant like it is nowadays, but it was definitely the move. It was a whole vibe. Um, yeah, it was cool. Blockbuster had an iconic blue and yellow theme that became the symbol of entertainment for basically my generation. And yeah, so this was the like the blue and yellow color scheme. You know, it was just cool. Like it just became synonymous with like entertainment and movies. Like these colors for me always represent entertainment, Blockbuster movies. And yeah, so and speaking of this is the Blockbuster card. It offered a membership that came with benefits basically. Customers signed up for membership to rent movies. It was about $3 to $5 for each rental, but if you had like a certain membership type, you were allowed to get either discounts, but at a certain a certain level of membership, you would basically get unlimited rentals for, of course, for for different tier fees. Uh, but it became like a badge of loyalty, honestly. And people kept it in their wallets like they would their ID, their debit card, credit card. You'd also have the Blockbuster card, and that's how you would do your thing. Because if not, you weren't watching anything. So I still have mine. So again, shout out to Bend, Oregon Blockbuster. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of people remember like swiping their card and walking out with a bag full of movies, and yeah, it was pretty cool. So eventually, and I don't like to talk about this negative stuff, but eventually they went out of business because of Netflix. They basically pitched their idea to Netflix. I'm sorry, Netflix pitched their idea for Netflix to Blockbuster. Blockbuster didn't. They said no, basically, and they eventually put themselves out of business because of bankruptcy, and they couldn't sustain the business model. Um, yeah, it was like they ended themselves in a way because like they accrued a lot of debt, and there was just something that once Netflix started going, they ended up having like their own Blockbuster online, and but at that point it was way too late. So it was yeah. So then they went away eventually, and their stores started closing with I think like in 2000. 11 to 13 was like the last ones that were out. Like I said, Bend, Oregon is the last Blockbuster. So, and I have my card. uh, but yeah, like again, they were. It was a time. It was like it represented a time in my childhood and teenage formative years where it meant going out there in the world, and people would come and they would ask for recommendations after they were done with their new releases and stuff like that. So it was pretty sweet. It was something that I'm not sure it could survive now. I mean, clearly it didn't survive, but I hear that they're trying to bring some form of it back, sort of like they have it in Bend, Oregon, but with actual like I don't know how they would do it now, but I mean, I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if it'll just be like a nostalgia thing, like you know, make it some type of I don't know, museum experience maybe, or I don't know if they have some sort of like QR code deal, maybe that'll work. But yeah, it was definitely a time. Uh, I used to love working there, obviously for free movies and video game rentals. I would basically treat that like people used to do GameStop, where they would just go and you rent a game, beat a game, bring it back, and then you kind of just swap it out and just keep going that way. That was my childhood, and yeah, it was a better time. So it was cool though. Like I mean, again, people would come in and like you got to know your community. Not everything was so like closed or shut in like it is now. Like everybody just and again, it's great that you get this like medium that you could watch movies and shows whenever you want, and that's great. But it's it back in the day, it you actually had to go out into the world and talk to people, and I mean, I know that's not for everybody, and some people aren't really social, but I feel like it overall had a net positive because you actually had to talk to people, and you got to know people, and like you had social skills that you had to actually develop, and there was nothing wrong with that, and it was just a cool ass time. Eventually that went away like all things do, but I had a lot of fun I had a lot of fun there. I was surrounded by movies, and it was one of those things where I didn't know how good I had it, because at the time I never thought that it was gonna go away. I was just like, oh well, Blockbuster is gonna be around forever. This is like a huge company, but you know, lo and behold, so and so yeah, so you would go and like back in the VHS days, you had to rewind. You had to like rewind these things. So you're done with your movie, you brought it back. They had like a mail chute that you would drop these things off in. And if you did not rewind your movie, they would fine you. They would like charge you like $5. Some like penalizing thing that they would do. It was ridiculous. But, you know, eventually people complained enough about it and they stopped doing that because they had like rewinders. Like, and oh yeah, there's another thing. They used to like sell a thing where you would like it was literally a VHS rewinding, like it was like it was almost like a toaster, but not really. It was like a thing of plastic, and you would plug it in, and you would stuff this in, and you would like press it down, and it would speed rewind your tape. And yes, if you're asking, would these eventually pop? Yes, the tape would pop, and you would have that would be another horrible thing. That's why I'm glad that the DVDs came out, because that was just it was not a good time. Um, but it was great. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. It was like a high school job that I had that I was like very, very happy that I got to experience that, because it's something that you kind of just had to be there. And it was cool. Again, I know I keep saying it was cool because it was fucking cool. You got to know people, and you had like all walks of life come in, and you were all sharing this experience of wanting to experience new movies, or old classics, or just film, or video games, but mostly it was filming shows. But they did shows like box sets of shows, but that kind of happened a little bit later, like toward the end. But primarily it was all movies. So just going in and serpentining aisles and just finding like, oh yo, this was this, or like an old ass movie that you heard about but never saw. It was just it was like a treasure hunt. It was great every time. It was like a treasure hunt, and you would go there, you meet people. Some people met their significant others there, and it was like you would be at a supermarket or something like that, but just for movies and stuff. So, but it was cool. Definitely a time. I think I'm gonna stop it there, because I'm just gonna gush about stuff and movies, and I know that's kind of part of it, but it's like, yeah, I could just go on, and there's so much that happened in a very small amount of time. I worked there for like 2 years, 3 years, and yeah, it was great. It was just something that lives very dear in my heart. And if they ever did bring that back, I don't know. I mean, I definitely check it out, and I'd bring my membership card because it was cool. So I think that's it, guys. So thank you for listening. Look up the last Blockbuster documentary. It's pretty cool. They go into a lot of history, how like basically the highs and the lows of it. It's a great flick. It's a great documentary if you're into docs. So yeah, that's it, and that's that. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, Slate. So be kind and rewind. That's a wrap.